In our society, people are broken and they are in desperate need of a message of hope in which they can find forgiveness and love. And that's what our work is about. They are very open to the gospel in the street or in the bars, in the cafes. You can ask them many things about spirituality, and that's where, one discovers their hunger for spiritual reality.
They're missing the source of life, Jesus Christ, and we've come to offer them the hope and the love and the everlasting life that He offers them.
I don't know where we will be going, but we are praying that God will open us doors here for any kind of ministries. We are ready to do anything for the Lord when He shows that it is necessary to do.
We have today many places which have been reached by the gospel as a result of ECM's work.
It's a really exciting time to be working in Europe. God's doing big things that we've never imagined.
It is so excited what God is doing here.
Erdhi momenti që Krishti erdhi, por faktikisht ishte që nga fillimi.
We're just so glad that God has called us to be a part of His plan.
Hi, my name is George Brown, and I would like to talk with you about sharing in the blessing of reaching the strategic post-Christian continent of Europe for Christ. Cathy and I belong to the European Christian Mission International, which exists to establish and develop reproducing churches that evangelize and disciple the peoples of Europe. We long to see the peoples of Europe transformed in the name of Jesus Christ. ECMI began in 1904 by a young Estonian, Gans Raud, who at the age of 18 sensed God's call to reach Europe once again with the gospel. Today, ECMI's more than 120 missionaries are currently sharing the love of Christ in 19 countries across Eastern and Western Europe. Our missionary force consists of more than 20 nationalities, coming primarily from European countries, but also from far-flung places like Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, Guatemala, South Korea, and North America. We long to see workers raised up to reach the more than 820 million people of Europe, 98% of whom do not know Christ. Cathy and I have been involved in international ministry for more than 25 years, including 7 years in France to help start a church in the Paris area. I've been appointed Executive Director of ECMI USA, and today we work in the United States to raise up prayer, people, partnerships, and financial provision to help finish the task that God called us to. We invite you to join us on this journey of reaching Europe for Christ. Doug and Leela Groth best illustrate the need to mobilize people from North America to accomplish the task of reaching Europe for Christ. Today, Doug and Leela live and minister in the small town of Rabka, Poland, about an hour south of Krakow. I recently had the opportunity to visit Doug and Leela, and I came away very encouraged by what the Lord is doing in their midst. The Lord has honored their commitment and devotion as they have established a small church in this town. Today, Stasek and Gina attend this church. Stasek had been a member and attending the church for quite some time, while Gina resisted the gospel. For a while, she attended the church, but the light of the gospel became too bright and she quit coming. Later, she began attending a Bible study led by Leela, and gradually resumed coming to church. Doug had been preaching a series of sermons through the book of Revelation when God touched her heart and she realized her need for Christ. That was in August of 2009. More recently, in May of 2010, she and 3 others from this church were baptized. Doug and Leela report that the change in Genia's life has been amazing. As a result, Genia and Stazik's marriage now serves as an amazing testimony of God's power as they serve Him together. I often wonder what would have become of Stazik and Genia if Doug and Leela had not heeded the call of God on their lives to serve. We need more Dougs and Leelas to finish the task. Cathy and I are excited to be part of sending workers to the field. ECMI missionaries Mark and Jody Van Eyden work in the city of Tours, France. Mark is Dutch and Jody is American. Located 2 hours southwest of Paris, Tours has a population of roughly 350,000 people. That's slightly smaller than the city of Colorado Springs. As I was visiting Mark and Jody, Mark took me around the city of Tours and showed me the church that they are involved in starting. They've grown to a membership of about 50 people. People are coming to Christ and being baptized, and that's exciting. But Mark also gave me a bit of a driving tour, no pun intended, of the city. As we drove along the Loire River and past the shops and cathedrals of this town, he said to me, George, you know, there are only 6 evangelical churches in the city. And I thought to myself, wow. Now, Cathy and I had worked in France for 7 years, so we knew the spiritual need of France is great. Less than 1% of the population of France would be considered Christ followers. But what struck me this time was the fact that we had lived in Colorado Springs for about 15 years, a city of similar size, and I know that more than 400 churches call Colorado Springs their home. 6 churches in Tours, more than 400 in Colorado Springs. The need in France is great, as is the need in all of Europe, where less than 2% of the population of most countries in Europe would be considered Christ followers. In fact, there are proportionally more Christ followers in Nepal than there are in Poland, proportionally more in Japan than in Spain, and proportionally more in Congo than in Belgium. The need is great, and we need more workers for the harvest in Europe. You know, we can't accomplish this journey without partners. Partners who will pray and invest financially in our ministry. For our part, a partnership looks like this. First, we serve as an extension of your ministry. Secondly, we commit to communicating to you on a regular basis through monthly email updates and quarterly newsletters. Third, we want this to be a two-way prayer partnership where you're not only praying for us, but that we have opportunity to pray for you too. Therefore, we want you to share your prayer concerns with us. Fourth, ECMI commits to providing you with all the necessary tax-deductible receipts and mechanisms for giving, whether that be via check, electronic transfer, or a credit card. ECMI is a member of the Evangelical Council for Financial Accountability and is held to the highest standards of financial integrity. For your part, we would ask this, that you pray on a regular basis for our ministry and family. We absolutely need your prayers. Without them, the ministry will not move forward. Second, we would ask that you prayerfully consider investing in our ministry financially, preferably on a monthly basis, but some prefer to give on a quarterly or annual basis. Most of those who invest financially in our ministry give on an average of $100 a month, but some give $25 a month and others give more, and all amounts in between. That would certainly be between you and the Lord. So our question to you is this. Is this a partnership that God might be calling you to be involved in? We would be honored if God called you to do so. Please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. Contact information will be at the end of this video presentation. Thank you for prayerfully considering this request. May the Lord bless you as you seek to serve and live for Him.
Hello, I'm Stephen Bell. I'm ECM's coordinator for the Balkans here in Europe. I live in Croatia and there's very, very few Christians here, maybe 0.5% or less. Just recently I was talking with George Brown, the US director for ECM, and I was sharing with him the needs here in Europe, and he was really enthusiastic trying to help us. I quite like George. He's got integrity, he's got a real heart for God, and even more, he's really bothered about our situation here. The problem is though, George has his own needs, and I'd really like just to ask you to endorse George, that if you could help with his support, that would free him, so then he's able to send people here and concentrate on helping us in Europe reach the lost for Jesus Christ. So thank you very much.